welcome back to Frankly Speaking. I'm your host, Frank. Ladies and gentlemen, it's interesting how, I look at the world differently than everybody else. Well, a somewhat unique perspective, let's put it that way, as I've always been one that has kind of rejected sort of the social norms of everyday life. I've always been that way since I was a young man, and not that I'm perfect in any kind of way, trust me, but we all have a fallen nature. We all struggle with sin and inclinations towards sin. But I've always been one since I was a young man in some ways, where when the crowd is all running in one direction, I'm the guy slowly walking backwards, or at least walking back in the opposite direction. I don't follow the social trends, and the way I look at things. One of the things I've been talking about a lot about on the show lately, which nobody seems to pick up on but me, really, it seems like, but I could be wrong on that, is sort of the whole college experience in America, sort of this rite of passage that we've created over the past, 40, 50, 60 years, however long, this college thing. Because, college was something that was pushed hard when I was in high school back in the 80s, right? And basically you were set up for this situation. You better go to college or you're going to be a worthless piece of crap in the American economic engine of prosperity. And it's kind of something we're all indoctrinated with. And from my understanding, I have a son now and things like that. It's the same message is being pushed. Everybody is being pushed into college, which presents a lot of fundamental problems. The first of which is you got lots of varying trades, I should say, not trades, but varying fields of study that are absolutely irrelevant to everyday life. And you got a bunch of kids taking out student loans and in order to pursue, their sort of these ambitions, but in areas and philosophical studies or educational studies that are completely irrelevant. They'll get out of college and these degrees will be completely worthless, but they'll be stuck with student loans for decades to come. I mean, that's one aspect there, right? And the other aspect, of course, is you got a bunch of liberal educators. These universities, these colleges are chock full. They've become dominantly taken over by the far left, like every other institution in the West since really the Enlightenment. And it's interesting because, the more these universities continue to push on these college students this sort of liberal, far left, progressive indoctrination, the more nobody wants to really stop and really do anything about it, because we've been put in a trap with this, again, American economic engine of prosperity. Because if you don't go to college, and there are some standards out there where college degrees are demanded by most corporations now, you're going to be left out in the cold financially, right? So it's this trap. And even conservatives have fallen for this trap, because we all want our kids to do better. We all want to do better, for that matter. And so it's a situation, well, what do? Do we support these little liberal indoctrination centers with our money and our time, only to be indoctrinated? And some of us that are more conservative minded can fend off this liberal indoctrination like I did when I went to college in the late 90s. There's a lot of kids that get caught up in this trap where they're not going to be able to fend this thing off because they're not cared. A lot of kids are not intellectually capable of handling the kind of liberal progressive propaganda that's hoisted upon them in the name of liberty. Conservatives, right? And even, like I said, even conservatives have kind of been forced to send their kids to these liberal universities. And then we have to do all these kind of repairs after they're done, and we have to uneducate our kids who have been indoctrinated, right? The horror stories of parents that send their kids off in college in the name of the economic engine of prosperity so their kids could do better in life, but it comes at a cost, right? The cost of, being, again, propagandized into far leftism, and the horror stories of parents that now face this, this liberal element in their home all of a sudden. And that's where families begin to break up, right? You got this thing at the Thanksgiving dinner table where you gotta now all of a sudden get together with family that's of the left side of the aisle, and you got the others that are right side of the aisle, and there's political disagreements at the Thanksgiving table, which further adds to the divide of America. Again, all this in the land of liberty. And it's interesting to me in a lot of ways because, listen, I'm the product of immigration. I'm Italian. I'm Sicilian. And I said it once and I say it again. I have a unique perspective in the sense that I have lived in two different kind of ideological paradigms, right? This modern liberal society, America, liberty, freedom first, baby, right? Let's go make the money. The emphasis on the material world and the material things of the world, right? But there's another side of me. My parents were born in Sicily, very devout, very Catholic, and I got a very old world view of the world, right? Now, maybe Sicily in the 1940s, my father was born in 35, my mother in 46. And while, again, liberalism and the Enlightenment and, is creeping, or classical liberalism is creeping into Europe at the time, there was still enough of sort of that remnant Catholic culture to where I got this old world Catholic view. So a lot of these things are strange to me when I look at these things, right? Like the concept of rebellion. American rebellion. We're going to rebel in the name of liberty. Something that doesn't exist in Catholic ideology, right? I mean, we may believe in concepts of self-defense, right? The church stipulates, if you're being oppressed in a certain manner, right? We have just war theory. But the concept of rebellion for the sake of rebellion, simply to appease my own natural inhibitions or my own fallen nature, that's something that for Catholics, especially Italians, is strange. And I would argue, as I talk to other Catholics from different cultures like Hispanics, right? Filipinos, they're kind of like Italians too in many respects, where family plays a very intricate role in their lives, and this concept of rebellion. Mom, dad, kiss my ass. I'm 18 now. I'm going to do what I want to do, right? It's strange. Now, for us Catholics, especially Italians, and because Italians are known for building strong familial bonds, this rebellion against parents in the home, it doesn't happen. A lot of it is that with their Catholic faith, right? Because it's right in the 10 Commandments, thou shalt honor thy mother and thy father. And because the church is a hierarchical structure, because in our Catholic faith, we see ourselves as a grand family of God, right? I've talked about this before. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And if you read your scriptures, he gives us his mother at the foot of the cross. Because what is a family without a mother, right? The saints are our brothers and sisters in the faith. The Catholic concept of God is a family. God is a family, and we're all part of that family. This individualism, right? This personal Jesus thing. Remember that Depeche Mode song? Personal Jesus. Remember that? That's a Protestant concept that really falls in line with a lot of this Americanized post-Enlightenment individualism, right? I'm an extreme individual. I do what I want to do. Nobody tells me what to do, damn it. That kind of an ideology. See, that's foreign for us Catholics and for us Italians. And so when we're talking about the rebellion against family, against parents, again, and this is why I've said before, this is why Americans are really not known for establishing strong familial bonds in America. It's why the American family has essentially collapsed here. Now, the family is collapsing everywhere, and there's different reasons, but through sort of the historical understanding of history and through familiar bonds, I can tell you that Catholics have a unique, or should I say, Italians have a unique place along with other cultures, like I said, where family bonds are everything to us. They're even more important than, guess what? Liberty, right? Right? And that is a heresy to even say that in America, right? Because liberty, freedom, extreme individualism, I do what I want to do. That's gospel in America. But see, that gospel comes at a cost, the cost of your family, right? So here comes Americans, and we're trying to raise kids, we're trying to raise our families, and here comes this American notion. I'm 18 years old now, I'm of legal age, do what I want to do, right? And what happens when kids turn 18 in America, right? It's already expected that through our fallen nature, they're going to partake of many of their liberties in America. Liberties that in the old world we actually called something like sin, right? That's what we called it in the old world, sin. you know? And so for the young men, it's the strip clubs or it's the porn, or because now you're legal of age to buy porn. Actually, actually, wait a minute. That's old school. We all got porn at the age of 10 now in the name of liberty because we all got these things right here, right? We got these things here, right? Well, you don't even need an ID card anymore to watch your porn. How could I miss that one? But my point is, there's various social behaviors that are considered a rite of passage in America for once you turn 18, right? You're gonna go to Vegas and you're gonna party, you're gonna get drunk, you're gonna go to strip clubs, and you're gonna do some things out there that, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right, baby? Right? That's liberty, baby. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So I'm cruising around the internet. Actually, I'm on Twitter. And I don't know if I should show this image, but I'll flash it quick here. Hold on here. I'll flash it really quick here because I think this is important. Let me pull this up, guys. My apologies here. Okay. Sorry. Here it is here, right? The sex lives of college girls on HBO Max, right? The good, the bad, and the awkward, right? Isn't this perfectly American? Let me take this off screen. I know some people are going to chastise me for showing an image of young ladies on here, and I'm not trying to entice anybody's passions. I'm just trying to give you context about what is going on and what is the expected norm in America now, in American culture, in the land of freedom and liberty. And that is that rite of passage I keep talking about, right? Your son or daughter turns 18, and now they're getting ready for college, because if you don't go to college, you can't really become functional in the American economic engine of prosperity. And here you go off to college, right? You send your kids off to get indoctrinated in far left, utopian liberal politics, right? They're expected, as these young ladies here, as the ad of this new show on HBO implies, they're expected to partake of sex because now they're 18. Then there's no shackles of parents there to stop you or, control you. Now you're an adult, right? You want to feel good about yourself. You want to kind of establish self-confidence and self-security. You want to find yourself sexually. That's kind of what we push now, right? And really with that comes a whole other sort of matter of social issues that are supposed to conform to this new way of life, this expected sexual license in America, right? Because if you don't go to college, right, and you're going to party, you're going to get drunk, right, you're going to have sex, right, that's what you're going to do. But of course, there's some dangers there, right? We can't experiment sexually, especially if we're passed out at some party and some dude is going to take advantage of this girl. We got a contraception, man, so you don't get pregnant, right? So you can have responsible sex, right? We hand out condoms now for free everywhere, right? And if all that fails, if your contraception pill doesn't work and your condom breaks, we got abortion to clean up the mess. Little simple procedure. You don't even got to tell mom and dad anymore. You're an adult now, man. And so this is the college experience that's become a rite of passage in America. And yet there's no social commentators that I know of that talk about this problem. And this is how this level of human brokenness spreads throughout the culture, right? And then we wonder why, at the very least, half this country, it has gone crazy in many respects, right? You got the conservatives pulling their hair out. What's happened to the America I know? How could all these, how could all these people vote for the far left, communist, Marxist candidate in America, right? Well, listen. You got a party on the other side of the aisle. I mean, despite your economic engine of prosperity, despite your logic and reason and your rationalism, what the Democratic Party has always understood, which you guys on the right still don't understand, is that apart from this logic and reason thing, there's one thing greater even than education. I know you guys on the right love education, right? You got Hillsdale College, right? A conservative college, Hillsdale, pushing this thing, send them $39.95, and they're going to go out there and have enough money to go out there and teach the kids about freedom and liberty in America before the communists take over America, right? Just send your good hard-earned money to Hillsdale College and they'll save a miracle for you, right? Because, as they will tell you in this ad, in the sponsorship of this fundraiser, that education is the key. And because the left has taken over the educational system, we have to fight back in the arena of education, right? And this is the grand lie that the right has bought into, right? Because, to be honest with you, the left has taken over the education departments. But there's something even greater than actually the educational system, the hijacking of the educational systems that the right hasn't figured out, a greater weapon for the political left to essentially take over all of the West at this point in history, all of the institution, and that is they prey off our fallen nature. See? And the irony of it all is that it is the classical liberal, it is the classical liberal concept of freedom and liberty that they use in order to distort, enamor, and disorient this fallen human nature. That's the irony of it all. This is why you have so many kooky far left people in the society that we live in now. And this is all of the West, not just America. What the right has never figured out is that education and political indoctrination and going to the polls and voting is not the answer. In fact, voting and going to the polls has been the problem for the right. Not that there isn't a function, because we have to govern ourselves, right? But because the right has had this great contradiction in regards to freedom and liberty and true religion, liberty in a society that is not well ordered, in a society where the eternal truths of God were never put first, where economic and material sort of prosperity are the highest elements, the highest levels of gospel in America, the left understood if we can exploit this fallen nature, we can win at the ballot box time and time and time and time again. And look at the great social battles of our time. Look at what actually happens in America in elections. Is it the economy, stupid? No, it's not actually. It's not the economy, stupid, because the government's, again, printing money off left and right. They're propping up the economy. The way they win is with social issues. Shame and blame with these far leftist kind of social norms that they've reestablished, the disordered life, to be politically correct for our censors, right? The disordered life. And every 2 and 4 years, a new issue in regards to sexual disorder pops up in America, and we're all arguing and we're all angry, and we got parents heading down to school boards to demand that their kids are not indoctrinated. But does the right ever win that battle? No. Eventually they surrender, right? We protested contraception. We protested abortion, right? We were all upset at, Madonna. We were all upset at, Twisted Sister and all this music, and parents were filing appeals. It went to Congress, right? We're all upset about the disordered lifestyle. They won. Now there's another element of a disordered lifestyle, and they're winning. Conservatives are upset, but the problem that conservatives face is that they have no moral arbiter of truth. At the end of the day, liberty is your God. This is the right that is elevated liberty to a divine status of gospel. And it is that element, it is that ideology that the left uses against the right. Now, for the right, this concept of freedom and liberty in a post-Catholic civilization, in the early days of the Republic, it might have worked because you had the fumes of the Catholic Church that were still in the hearts and minds of people, of its citizens. But as the fumes of Catholicism, because the Enlightenment really began to vaporize the elements of the old Catholic world, what do you have left? What is your moral arbiter of truth? Sola Scriptura? Are you kidding me? It only shows you how bad Protestantism has failed in that respect. But who determines right from wrong? And who tells these college girls, listen, young ladies, maybe it's not the best thing to go to college and even more so to partake in this lifestyles of sexuality. But if we have a culture drenched in human sexuality and no kind of mechanism to push back against it in any kind of moral way, our fallen nature takes over. And guess what? Sexuality is a reality. We're going to react to that. It's a powerful instinct. And without true and just religion and faith in God, this thing is impossible to control. But the right has never wanted to deal with true religion. Never has. It was a farce at the founding principles. The founding fathers were confused about their own faith and their lack of orthodoxy in their belief system. How are we going to expect now the society to control our fallen nature when we don't have the church in place anymore, when we don't have the sacraments that are a vital part of our civilization, and the mores to enforce the rules, the morality, to reinforce these social norms? They're all been wiped out, they're gone. And here are these 18, 19, 20-year-old girls gonna go off to, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And guess what? It's a rite of passage. Nobody can even question it anymore now, man. There's no societal pushback. You're just gonna expect these young ladies and boys and young men, not to mention the porn issue that we have now, right? You expect them to go make a bunch of decisions that would infect the rest of their lives. Because like I said so many times before, sexuality is an adult action. It's an adult behavior. It's an adult activity. And it's supposed to be confined within, again, the institution of marriage, right? It protects you. The familial system protects you. And here come the abortions. Here comes the contraception. Here comes, the illegitimacy, the broken families, and all kinds of other social problems, a host of social problems that's bringing our civilization and this country to its knees. And it's all been done in the name of liberty. That's the irony of it all. Ladies and gentlemen, the college experience in America, it's terrible for our society. It's terrible for our young ladies. It's terrible for our young men. And guess what? That level of human brokenness that is created by the college experience, on top of everything else that's wrong, with this, freedom and liberty thing, right? On top of everything else, it results to the conservative right getting their asses handed to them every 2 and 4 years at the ballot box. This is why this country continues to go to the left. It's why it's been going to the left since 1776, and it's why the right has no answer, and why now at this point in history, the right is throwing their hands up in the air and they tell us we have no answers. But there are some of them saying we got to double, triple, quadruple down on liberty, freedom, and liberty, like Hillsdale College is pushing now. Send Hillsdale College $39.95, and they're going to save America. But this is Frank. I want to thank you for joining me tonight. Signing off. Or frankly speaking, good night, everybody.